Welcome to No Hacks Snacks, a series of short interviews with experimenters, optimizers, marketers, and product builders from all over the world. In this one, I asked Marcella Sullivan from Women in Experimentation how conferences can advance your career. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this in the future. Marcella, I have a question for you. How can digital professionals advance their careers through conferences?
So, lots of different ways. Speaking is not the only one. Attending conferences, leveraging the network that you build at conferences, just being in the room and being present is one of the most important things, especially in my career. You begin talking to people, you begin learning things, but also you learn what you don't know from conferences too. And it sparks curiosity that then you can take off and expand on and build, have a personal growth from those findings. But the other important thing I would say is having the confidence to put yourself out there. And whatever form that takes, whether it's going to a meetup one evening after you leave the office for people in your industry. And I was actually at one the other night, and one of the great speakers, she said, it's about finding your tribe. And I'm a big believer in that as well. And I have lots of tribes that I've built up through events. One of my tribes is Women in Experimentation as well. And we've built our own community. And that network then becomes invaluable to creating opportunities later in your career. You build a personal brand in your community rather than one attached to the place you work at or the exact job you're doing right now. People get to know you as a person. But the other obvious benefit of conferences is if you put yourself forward to speak. And I'm a big believer in diversifying the people that we have speaking at conferences. Don't get me wrong, we have some great speakers in the experimentation arena.
No one will get you wrong.
No.
I guarantee you no one will.
But there are lots out there that have yet to get up on stage. And we need to try and create initiative to get people onto the stage. Now, whether that be in person, like the TLC Summit, Experimentationally, and all the great work that Kelly does there, or whether it be online with our Women in Experimentation Summit.
When is that? Let's just say, when is that happening?
That is, so July 9th is going to be our Women in Experimentation Summit, and Experimentation Elite
or
is
July?
in July for the Women
in July. Okay, got it.
Yeah. July is Women in Experimentation. June, I forget the exact date, is the TLC Summit that is in person in Birmingham. So that's an in-person event in June, and then on the 9th of July, the online event. Both of these events look at getting people that have more limited speaking experience up on stage, but they wouldn't happen without people first having the confidence to put themselves forward. And I would say to anyone thinking about getting involved in either of those events, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain from that experience. If you put yourself forward and you're not successful in your application, you will still learn something from the experience of coming up with the idea of your talk. For both of these events, if you are successful in your application, you'll end up with a wealth of professional coaching, an opportunity to be on stage, and all the tools you need to go and book your next gig, right? So there are benefits, for both of the events. Sorry, I've lost.
I think it's really important to say that if someone applies and they get accepted, they're not going to be pushed onto the stage immediately. There's going to be professional speaker coaching provided by Michael Olgert in both cases, right?
In both cases,
and
yes.
That's about as good as it gets when it comes to speaker coaching.
It's the best it gets, yes. So for the Women in Experimentation Summit, we have a second coach as well, to be confirmed.
Nice.
So we're going to have two professional coaches also leading you up to the conference over time, working on your slides, working on your presentation skills, but then afterwards really helping support you into finding that next conference gig where you're going to speak and adapt your skills further. There's also great progression with the TLC as well. The TLC winner from last year, Vignesh from the BBC, he is now on the main stage at Experimentation Elite this year. So that's a really obvious sign of progression, right? So there are lots of opportunities out there. It's about having the confidence to say, I'm going to go for this, I'm going to try it, and I believe that I can do it. And you will be supported along the way as well, which is, I think, the most important thing. Both of these initiatives from the TLC and WIE, they're not about just finding people that want to speak. They're about finding people that want to speak, making them a better speaker, and then helping their career with what they get out of the experience.
Again, this is as good as it gets. And earlier you mentioned building a personal brand. This is not just you're at home alone building a personal brand. You have your tribe to build that brand with you and to help you advance your personal brand. And you're helping each other. It's not just about the person who applies. So again, it will never be better than this. If you want to apply, if you want to have your public profile boosted, this is the perfect opportunity. Tell me more about Women in Experimentation and explain that initiative to anyone watching this who may not be familiar.
So Women in Experimentation started off well before I was involved as a list of women that wanted to speak at conferences, which chimes in nicely with what we've just been talking about, creating opportunities for speakers. But then that grew into an appetite for a tribe, a community of women that all worked in experimentation. But now we're seeing our community grow into all these other disciplines. And that's the thing. We have people from product, user research, marketing, all kinds, everyone that has an interest in experimentation. And I'm noticing over the last couple of years an even greater cross-pollination between experimentation communities and these other communities. And the benefits it brings, we can answer problems that each other are having with our own expertise. We might not be experts on exactly the same things, but actually that fresh perspective is really good. So this year for our summit, it's the second year of our summit. We want it to be bigger. We want it to be better. We want it to be broader. We want more topics, more disciplines, more different things touched upon, more value to different communities. So yes, we're called Women in Experimentation, but we are interested in things other than experimentation, and so is our audience. And a big thing to note is, yes, despite the Women in Experimentation name, we will have male speakers as well. So we're going to have 30% male speakers. So men are more than welcome to apply for the WIE Summit.
But the priority is people who don't have speaking experience and people who don't have a public profile as some of the regular conference speakers have, right?
Correct. We draw a balance with our 10 speakers. So we are going to have 2 more experienced speakers. Last year, we had Ruben de Boer and Eden Badani as our 2 speakers. So we are bringing that more experienced kind of 2 keynotes, but you're not, you're receiving all the same compensation as well. It's one important thing to note. We've got a speaker compensation fund. We really believe in compensating for you for your time as well as training you. So there are going to be 8 available speaker slots for people with little to no speaking experience. And we really are going to guide you through the process because we want the conference to be useful for attendees, but we also want it to be a really great learning experience for our speakers.
Everybody wins. Marcella, thank you for everything you're doing and for this interview.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to speak to you.